160 less epics, and 14 less legendaries per card. Even with this rule, commons and rares were technically still worth upgrading during the Slash Royale event, but epics and legendaries were certainly not. Although you were saving 25,000 gold in upgrades for maxing a card than how it would cost after Slash Royale, you were losing 80,000 gold worth of epics and 280,000 gold worth of legendaries by upgrading during Slash Royale instead of waiting for the update. And that's if you count the overflow costs. If you count it as buying it from the shop, it's actually double those numbers. And in terms of buying legendary chests, that's 7,000 gems worth of legendaries for those of you who buy legendary chests. This actually means hoarding cards was the best strategy since it would soon require way less cards to upgrade. It was actually worth saving them, which made the scam of Slash Royale so clear, because the whole point of this event was to entice people to level them up. Level them up now before the sale ends. This meant having level 11 cards was actually the best position for players to be in. Think about it. If you had a level 12 princess with 20 out of 20 cards stacked, ready to upgrade to level 13, if you had simply waited until after the update, you would be able to level her up after the update with 14 princesses to spare, whereas someone with a level 13 princess before the update would have 0. The community quickly figured this out, and many YouTubers warned their audiences not to upgrade their cards and to wait.
Level 14 is confirmed! Upgrade your cards with Slash Royale and collect those experience points. But wait, that's a trap. You're actually losing for upgrading them. The cards that hadn't been upgraded and are level 12 and lower have excess cards now due to lower requirements, resulting in an overflow in level 14 progression. This means that players who didn't upgrade their cards can be closer to meeting level 14 requirements than a fully maxed player. Wait, what?
Commons and rares, you're actually better off. Rares are almost a wash. If you upgrade any of your cards, you're A, wasting your magic items. You're B, also incurring a higher cost. You're throwing away resources. If you have a maxed account, you are losing 252 legendary cards, 5,510 epic cards. You guys can see it. What else can you say other than it's getting us to use all our resources? We thought we'd be dumb if we weren't using our resources. I don't know if they maliciously did us dirty here, but I feel like they did us dirty, you know?
I have been playing Clash Royale since the beginning, and I have seen many points of community outrage. From the Elite Barbarian meta in 2016, to the Touchdown update in 2017, to Clan Wars in 2018, and Clan Wars 2 in 2020. But I have never, ever seen community outrage as much as when people found out they had been scammed. This wasn't just about lackluster content, this was about Supercell taking away progress from the player base. This was a new step for Supercell. Supercell was highly pressured to act, so after just one day of announcing level 14, Supercell announced they made a mistake in not planning this outright, and they would compensate the players by refunding the players with the extra cards that would be lost by upgrading early. So it would actually make upgrading cards during Slash Royale worth it after all. They also announced they would have another 200k gold rush during the next season. So you might think that's gotta be the end of it, right? Supercell made a little oopsie and they fixed it, so everything was good. Although the biggest problem was fixed by refunding people the cards that they would have otherwise wasted, a lot of people were left feeling dissatisfied. Even if people were getting better deals than after the update, people had already been spending their magic items in gold, upgrading everything they possibly could, meaning they wouldn't have any resources to upgrade their main decks after the update, leaving them with a now under-leveled deck. People felt like they spent their resources believing they didn't need to worry about saving anything for their main deck because they had had it maxed for so long. And adding a new level was something never done before 2016. And remember, Supercell said they were not going to be adding any more levels. A lot of people just quit over this, and it's understandable. But you can never really be sure how many of those people were serious and not just ranting on Reddit and came back to the game 2 days later. A lot of people critiqued Supercell though, and were not letting them off the hook. Although a lot of community backlash was toned down due to the card refunds, many people still believed Supercell was purposely gave them the illusion that they were going to lose a bunch of cards, when in reality, that was never their plan. Wasting your magic items just doesn't seem like as much as a severe loss when you think about you're going to lose hundreds of legendaries. Do you really believe Supercell just simply didn't plan any of this for an update they were supposedly working on all year? By fixing this imaginary problem, if Supercell did this on purpose, it distracted people from the real issue, which was people spending their magic items on cards they don't want, so it will be harder for people to progress after the update. You know, I'm not trying to be biased, so I will say there is a slim possibility that this was just ignorance after all, but with all these facts, it really seems hard in my opinion. So you may be wondering, why did Supercell add level 14 at all? What was their true intention? Towards the beginning of the year, Supercell added magic items to help lower leveled players. A problem with the game is that it was too menacing for new players. There were 102 cards in the game at the time of magic items being added, which was super intimidating for a new player, since that's a lot of progress they have to go through. Remember, when the game first came out, there were only 42 cards, so magic items were a great addition to help lower levels progress. However, this problem was also apparent on the other end of the spectrum.
And we also haven't forgotten about the max out players, so we want to approve the progression for all players.
There were a lot of maxed players in the game with pretty much nothing to do except push ladder. And if you had been playing for years up to this point, it was actually pretty common for a lot of even free-to-play players to have a maxed account and nothing else to do. Level 14 was the update that was sort of for maxed players because it gave people more things to do. Even with a maxed account, after this update, you would need 70,000 commons, 20,000 rares, 1,000 epics, and 100 legendaries estimated to max out your account once again. Not to mention an additional 10 million gold. They also said level 14 was part of a quote-unquote long-term plan, which I'm not really sure if that has to do with champions or masteries or maybe a little bit of both, but I really still never really saw the point of level 14 being necessary for either of these. They could have just started champions at level 10 and made the levels one level lower for masteries, but they'll never tell us. Who knows? Maybe this long-term plan is still going on. I mean, there was leaked gameplay of Champions years ago, so if you haven't heard much of Slash Royale, I hope that makes it clear to you. I wasn't planning on making a video talking about level 15 or any modern Clash Royale event after my last video, and even though making any follow-ups because although May deserved, I don't like criticizing Supercell. However, I feel obligated to speak out because this game seems to only be going in a worse direction. I did mention a few months ago that Supercell was dead set on adding level 15 to Clash Royale in the first half of the year, and they kept to their word as it was just recently added despite the endless backlash it received. However, the information that we did not have when I made my last video was how they were going to implement it. I just assumed it would be like adding level 14, since how would any other method even begin to make sense, especially if there was no new mechanic to come with level 15. Well, on May 26th, we got a little more insight on how level 15 was going to work. It was confirmed level 15 would cost no gold, but instead a new item would be added called Elite Wildcards, which is what you would now get instead of extra gold. And you would essentially use these with no cost of gold to get a card from level 14 to level 15, and on top of that, they would be tripling the amount of gold in the economy. This announcement was very suspicious to me because why wouldn't leveling up cards cost gold? And if we don't need gold, then what's the point of tripling the amount of gold we get? Obviously, it helps players get to level 14, but it doesn't help currently maxed players who are sitting on 5 million gold get anywhere. They really are making this new level feel different than any other by calling it the elite level, saying that this isn't the max level, this is elite level. But there's literally nothing special about this level. They even confirmed on this day that the new card evolution feature would not be tied to level 15. Ultimately, I think that's pretty good, but then it just shows how unnecessary level 15 is at all. My guess is that card evolutions were originally planned to be tied to level 15 just like champions were to level 14, but then they decided to revert that decision due to the major backlash they were already getting. To my surprise, this video got a lot of positive response from the community, but I'm not sure why. Adding a new level still adds nothing nothing new for the players. It's simply just taking away progress from already maxed players. So what if we don't need gold? It's still a grind everyone is now going to have to endure. There is literally no other reason for gold to exist other than to upgrade cards. They're just putting that grind into something else. Overall, I think they made this video because, like with the addition of level 14, level 15 would be getting a Slash Royale event cutting the prices of cards a couple weeks before the update. They made sure to clarify what was happening with level 15 because during the last Slash Royale event, they didn't say they were adding a new level until a few days into the event, basically misleading people by giving them a false sense of generosity and making people waste their resources on cards they wouldn't have otherwise if they knew a new card level was coming. So although this was handled better than the last time, it doesn't take away from the fact that level 15 adds nothing cool for the players. If they had simply gone ahead and implemented the new level similarly to how they implemented level 14, I wouldn't even be making this video. But with the new blog posts that came out only days before the update, it was revealed that this was way worse than I originally thought. Supercell confirmed in this blog post that players would need 50,000 wildcards for each and every card to get them to level 15. Surely the conversion rates of overflow cards into elite wildcards would not make the grind seem so daunting. I imagined common cards would convert into 1, rare cards would be 10, and 1 additional 0 for each ascending rarity. And even then, to match the amount of grinding it took to get cards from level 13 to level 14, Supercell would have to supplement every single existing level 14 card with a huge amount of elite wildcards. And remember, if you were a maxed level 13 player before they added level 14, it would have taken about a year of active grinding to max your collection besides champions once again. But when I saw the conversion rates, I couldn't even believe how low they were. Commons give you 2. Rares give you 10, epics give you 50, legendaries give you 200, and champions give you 500. Magic books will also only give you 5,000. Way lower than I originally thought, except for commons surprisingly. Now one benefit to elite wildcards is that you get them when any card overflows and you can apply them to any card. So if I get 16 bombers, I get 32 elite wildcards that I can use towards the Royal Giant. But if you're trying to max a bunch of cards, elite a bunch of cards, which is ultimately the long-term goal for most Clash Royale players, you're going to be grinding for years unless some serious changes are made to the economy. To upgrade each card to level 15, you will need either 25,000 commons, 5,000 rares, 1,000 epics, 250 legendaries, 100 champions, or 10 magic books. To give you an idea of how much it took to level up each card from level 13 to level 14, you needed 2,500 commons, 700 rares, 40 epics, 6 legendaries, or 1 magic book. Champions were added at the same time as level 14, so there's no comparison there. These numbers are huge. Just to let you know, you only need 12,086 commons to get a common card from level 1 to level 14, so it's literally more than double the grind to go from level 14 to level 15 than it is to go from level 1 to level 14. It's an even higher multiplier with some of the other rarities. Basically, if you are a fully maxed player, you're further away from maxing your account than someone who just started the game before the update. Back in 2016, you originally needed 86 legendaries to max a single one out, but that was way too high, and there were only 2 in the game at the time, so it was reduced to 36, and later increased to 42 when level 14 came out. That original 86 is nearly 1/3 Elite Barbarians have had one of the biggest impacts on Clash Royale. I wasn't planning on making a video talking about level 15 or any modern Clash Royale event after my last video, and even though I was making significant progress on my History of Expo video, I put that project on hold as soon as more information about the card evolution update came out. I made a video a couple months ago talking about the update for months or about 4.5 years. And remember, that's how long it will take if you already had all of your cards, including champions, at level 14 and you're an incredibly active player. If you include all the Diamond Pass rewards and you get all of the premium rewards in every global tournament, that is an additional estimated 34,000 wildcards. So as you can see, level 15 is far worse of a grind than level 14, and Supercell acknowledges this actually. They say, elite level is not something that we expect everybody to unlock right away, and it's also the reason why we have locked no extra content behind level 15. Getting to elite level has been designed to be a more passive experience for players and something that will take time rather than resources to earn. Elite levels have been designed as a more passive progression, similar to masteries. And finally they say, we saw such a vocal response against adding a new level, mainly due to the amount of gold it takes to level up cards to max level. So we went back to the drawing board and settled on this new, more passive level up method. It's slower, but it no longer requires getting lucky with card progress or saving up huge amounts of gold. There is a lot to unpack here, I don't even know where to start. How does this new system change any of the problems people have with levels? I think the amount of time it takes to grind card levels is what people hate most about it. Not that it costs too much gold. The grind is going to be exactly the same. You open chests, push on ladder, play challenges. The grind and the time is the problem. It doesn't matter if it's 0 gold or not. I don't like collecting my gold like I'm a greedy goblin who just likes staring at it. It's like Supercell saying, hey guys, we understand the Mega Knight is unhealthy for the game and causes a lot of frustration. So to combat the overusage, we're adding a Super Mega Knight for 1 less elixir that deals twice the damage. Therefore, no one will want to use the regular Mega Knight anymore. They're just eliminating a problem by creating a bigger one. The elite wildcards are the Super Mega Knight, but it's even worse because there's no reason to be adding it in the first place. At least with level 14, they were essentially saying, trust us, we have a long-term plan and a real reason for adding this level. And they even acknowledged it would be controversial from the start. The only reason they have ever given for level 15 was because they claim people People like leveling up their cards, unironically, like they just get some sort of dopamine hit by seeing a higher number appear above their card. I don't think anyone's buying this, but they have nothing else to say because they know that adding new levels only benefits them and not the players. And they know for a fact they're lying. They're not just pretending they can't see community feedback either, because they're saying in this recent post, we saw such a vocal response against adding a new level, but then their reasoning for adding a new level a few months ago was because players like upgrading their cards, and thus claimed the logical reasoning is that players want new levels. But they can never say it's just for the money, which it so obviously is. I don't know how anyone defends Supercell when they do stuff like this. I really do love this game and I hate criticizing Supercell this much, but I'm genuinely afraid of the direction this game is going in and frustrated at how Supercell is treating their loyal player base. The next thing I wanted to talk about is when they said, elite levels have been designed as a more passive progression similar to masteries. Levels are not just a side quest that can be done to earn a little badge or some gems. Levels matter. If you want to win Clan Wars and push to the top consistently, you need maximum levels or you'll just never make it. It's okay for masteries to take a while because you're not at a competitive disadvantage for not doing them. Whereas if you don't grind for levels, eventually players who are very committed to the game are going to level up a bunch of cards. Now, Supercell has stated that in the Path of Legends, the main competitive game mode other than Grand Challenges will still be capped at level 14 for 6 months after the update. But that's only enough time for most players to get 12 to 13 level 15 cards if they're already maxed. And with balance changes every 2 months, who knows what cards are going to be in the meta by the end of the year. And one more thing I wanted to talk about that they mentioned was that level 15 is something that will take time rather than resources to earn, which I just don't understand at all because you're committing your time to obtain resources. It's not like a daily login where you just claim 100 wild cards a day and that's it. You need to play Clan Wars, challenges, and regular battles in order